I never thought my marriage would end in such a humiliating way. My wife and I had been together for 10 years, and though things weren't always perfect, I believed we had a strong foundation. That illusion shattered the day she told me she wanted an open marriage. It started subtly. Late nights at work, secretive phone calls, a sudden obsession with her appearance. I ignored the signs, convincing myself she was just going through a phase. But one evening, she sat me down, her expression cold and distant, and bluntly told me she didn't believe in monogamy anymore. "I love you," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. "But I also want to explore other relationships. I think an open marriage would be good for us." I was speechless. We had never discussed this before, and the way she presented it, as if it was already decided, made my stomach turn. "Are you already seeing someone?" I asked, my voice shaking. She hesitated, then admitted, "Yes." That was the moment I realized she hadn't come to me for a conversation. She had come to inform me of my new reality. I felt like a fool. The worst part? She didn't even try to hide her contempt. "You don't own me," she sneered when I confronted her about the betrayal. "I have every right to do what I want with my body." At that moment, something inside me snapped. I had spent years being the stable, supportive husband, always putting her happiness first. And now, she was throwing me aside like an old toy. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just nodded and said, "If that's what you want, then I want a divorce." She was taken aback. "Wait, what?" "You heard me," I said, my voice steady. "If you want other men, then I won't stand in your way. But I won't be your backup plan." She laughed, but I could see the nervousness in her eyes. "You're being dramatic." "No, I'm finally standing up for myself." I filed for divorce the next day. She tried to backtrack, claiming she just needed time to figure things out, but I was done. The woman I loved no longer existed. The divorce was brutal. She fought me on everything: our house, our savings, even the dog. But I had evidence of her infidelity, and the court wasn't sympathetic to her open marriage excuse. In the end, I walked away with more than I expected. A year later, I heard she had moved in with one of her lovers. It didn't last. Apparently, the freedom she craved wasn't as fulfilling as she had imagined. Meanwhile, I rebuilt my life. I found someone who actually respected me, and for the first time in years, I felt truly happy. But it wasn't just about finding someone new. It was about rediscovering myself. The months after the divorce were the hardest. I had to confront the reality of being alone, of starting from scratch. I spent countless nights wondering if I had made the right choice, questioning if maybe I should have fought for my marriage. I sought therapy, not because I was broken, but because I needed clarity. I needed to understand why I had ignored the red flags for so long, why I had let myself become so blind to the truth. The therapist helped me see that I had been living in denial, clinging to a version of my wife that no longer existed. One day, while packing up old belongings, I found a stack of letters we had written to each other during our first year of marriage. The words were filled with love, with promises of forever. I almost laughed at the irony. Love is supposed to be eternal, yet here I was, erasing the remnants of a decade-long relationship. Months turned into a year, and slowly, I started to rebuild. I took up new hobbies, met new people, and traveled to places I had always wanted to visit but never had the time for. I learned to enjoy my own company, to embrace solitude without feeling lonely. Then, one day, I ran into her. It was at a coffee shop, completely unplanned. She looked different, tired, almost regretful. She gave me a weak smile and asked how I was doing. For the first time, I didn't feel anger or sadness. I just felt indifferent. And that's when I knew I had truly moved on. Looking back, I'm grateful she showed me her true colors before I wasted any more time. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is walk away.